Well, we had another exciting weekend of MLS Cup playoffs. This weekend was the MLS Cup playoff semifinals, where we had some very interesting matchups and a couple of teams that have really surprised a lot of people. And we have the Eastern and Western Conference finally set. But before we get started, make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are less than 280 subscribers away from 5,000, and our goal is to hit that number by MLS Cup final day. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video or an emergency live stream. Now, starting off with the first match, the Seattle Sounders and LAFC. LAFC has made it to two consecutive MLS Cups, winning one and losing to the Columbus Crew in 2023. Now, going into this game, I felt a little uneasy about the LAFC just because they haven't really looked good in their first three matches against the Whitecaps. And if the playoffs was based on aggregate, they would have been eliminated because they scored three goals to, or excuse me, yeah, three goals to Vancouver's four goals. They haven't looked good all playoff, and there's a lot of cause for concern. So going into this match, Seattle really doesn't have any attacking threats that you really would need to worry about. They're kind of pieced together and they're a very scrappy team, but nothing to really think you're going to get blown out or that it's going to be, not close match. LAFC has the better team on paper. Now, Stephen Fry has played very well this playoff, and that was the one reason why I gave Seattle a chance to make this interesting. I thought LAFC was going to win, but LAFC laid an absolute egg in this match. They scored first in this game, and everything looked good. It looked like they were going to win. And then Maxime Chanot gave up an own goal that completely changed the tune of this match. 1-1 goes into extra time. Maybe some of you guys maybe some of you guys watched the live stream and saw what happened with us, but it was completely shifted the tone of the match, and LAFC just looked completely deflated after that. And I thought that if LAFC did not have a decisive win where they scored a bunch of goals, they were going to lose this match because they needed to get some confidence. They needed to show that they can score some goals. They've struggled with Giroud since he signed, and they fell on their face. Seattle had a beautiful goal by Jordan Morris late in the second part of the extra time, and they won 2-1. LAFC gets bounced in the semifinals. They've regressed each year under Dolo, won the championship the first year, lost the second year, and then didn't even make it out of the semifinals in year three. And Seattle beat LAFC for the first time in Steve Cherundolo's career as the LAFC manager. Terrible time for that first win to come for LAFC. Denny Bouanga was a no-show. Giroud, I thought, was okay. It's just the system doesn't really fit his style of play. I didn't think Matty Bogusz really did much. I thought Tuesta was pretty bad. I thought the defending was bad. I thought that Maxime Chanot was absolutely terrible in this match. Hugo Lloris couldn't really do much. That own goal, I mean, what was he supposed to do? They got absolutely embarrassed, and Seattle did what they had to do to win. I said this in a stream on Rave Green TV. Brian Schmetzer and the Seattle Sounders are survivors. They might not be great. They're not bad. They're survivors. And at the end of the day, that's sometimes it's best to be a survivor. And they will play in the Western Conference Final for the first time since 2020 with a chance to make it to the MLS Cup once again. Now, moving on to the next match, we had New York City FC and the New York Red Bulls. I thought the Red Bulls could have trouble in this match because they haven't beaten the New York City FC at all. They've lost to them both occasions this season. And they're playing at Citi Field on the road in a baseball stadium. It's not ideal, but I once again underestimated the Red Bulls and how they are the underdog of the playoffs and the dark horse. They took care of business. Coronel had a great game, many great saves. Emil Forsberg has been such an incredible signing. I think he is vastly underrated because he doesn't have the name recognition that a Messi or a Suarez or a Giroud or a Marco Reus has. But don't get it twisted about how important he is to this New York Red Bulls team and their culture. He has helped turn this team around and made them a competitor and a real serious threat to make it to the MLS Cup and possibly win it. New York City FC completely laid an egg. They couldn't score, create any chances. And now Coronel obviously had a good game, but they couldn't capitalize on any of their chances. Santiago Rodriguez had an okay game. Matt Freese had the worst game of his, well, in a while, honestly, for New York City FC. He's been the stalwart for most of the season. Really good goalkeeper. A lot of people thought he should get a national team call-up, including myself. But this is probably the worst game he's had in a while. And just to lose in the Hudson River Derby for the first time this year in a playoff game at home is a tough pill to swallow. And I think Nick Cushing's days should be over. Many fans, New York City FC fans, have been ready to move off him for a while now. I don't know what else you need to see. He's not the guy for the job. And I think that they need to move in a new direction. I think it's City Football Group. They've got the money. They've got the resources. They could get a better coach. And huge applause to Sandro Schwartz and what he's done with New York Red Bulls. Huge applause. A lot of people were starting to question him and ask, was this the right hire? Was he the right guy? Should they have went with or kept Troy Lessin? And he's proven his doubters wrong. No, he is the guy that they should have hired. He's got them in the Eastern Conference Final for the first time since 2018, and they look really, really good. Felipe Carballo scored an absolute golazo, the goal of the week by far. Hell, it might be the goal of the playoffs. I implore you guys to go look at that goal. It was incredible. New York Red Bulls advance, and they will play Orlando City SC in the Eastern Conference Final. Now, moving on to the LA Galaxy and Minnesota United. LA Galaxy are a scary team. LA Galaxy are a force to be reckoned with. I knew that they were just playing different in the playoffs. Their first game, they won 5-0. Their second game, they won 4-1. Or maybe I got that reversed. Either way, they dominated the Colorado Rapids, beat them 9-1 on aggregate. And a lot of people thought, well, they're going to be off for 3 weeks. Are they going to struggle? Are they going to have rust? Are they going to be able to play like they did in those first 2 games? And the answer is yes. Yes, they will. They absolutely beat the shit out of Minnesota United. They beat the hell out of them. Okay, 6 goals they scored on them, won 6-2, and they've scored 15 goals in 3 games. They're averaging 5 goals a game in Major League Soccer in the playoffs. 5 goals a game is incredible. It's insane that that's the rate they're averaging. But this team is just firing on all cylinders. They're playing beautiful football. They're playing very cohesive ball. The chemistry is just off the charts. Puig is just pinging balls left and right. Beautiful precision passes to Peck, to Paintsel, to Joveljic, to Royce. He is playing on a different level. All 3 forwards, Paintsel, Joveljic, and Peck, all scored a brace tonight. Or today. All scored a brace. Every one of them. Based on what I could research in the history and just doing some digging, this is the first time in MLS history that 3 players on the same team in the same game scored a brace. The first time in history. So it's never been done before, to show you how incredible that was. And this team just looks unbeatable right now. Who's beating them right now? Minnesota United, I mean, it was a tall task. Dane St. Clair is a good goalkeeper, and he tried his best. He had some nice saves, but this attack is just so good. It's hard for any team. And I thought Minnesota United would have a chance in the beginning because it was 3-2. Kelvin Yeboah scored a brace. And he had been struggling recently, but he was able to find the back of the net twice, once on a beautiful goal and once on a PK. But the Galaxy are just too much. Nobody left in the playoffs, I think, have the horses for the Galaxy and the attacking talent to really match them in a scoring fest. Now, their defense is leaky and their defense isn't consistent enough, which was an issue with Inter Miami. But if they're scoring more goals than you, it really doesn't matter. I saw a statistic tonight, and I guess it's updated now. When the Galaxy lead at any point in a match, in the last 36 games, they are 29 wins, 0 losses, and 7 draws. When they lead at any point in the match, of those matches in the last 36 matches, they are 29 wins, 0 losses, 7 draws. I mean, who's beating that? If they score first, it's over essentially. You're going to lose. And on top of it, they have the best home record in MLS. They haven't lost a game. They're continuing that trend. They have not lost a game at home this season in Major League Soccer. And now the playoffs goes through Dignity Health Sports Park. The Seattle Sounders are going to have to travel to LA next week, and they're going to have to beat them if they want to advance to the MLS Cup. And it's a tall task. They have not lost a game all season at home. And that Galaxy just look incredible. I mean, Puig is insane. Peck is insane. Jovic is insane. The team is just playing the best, maybe some of the best ball I've ever seen in Major League Soccer since I've been watching the game. This might be the best LA Galaxy team I've ever seen. The defense is still shaky, but the offense is so good it doesn't even matter. So they look like a force to be reckoned with right now. It'll be interesting to see how the game plays out with Seattle. And we'll do a preview for that at some point this week. But man, Galaxy, bravo to them. 10 years in the making. Chris Klein out, Will Kuntz in. Team is cooking. Greg Vandy deserves some flowers. This team is rocking. And Minnesota United, great showing this season. A lot to be optimistic going into the next season. Eric Ramsey, the youngest coach in Major League Soccer, 32 years. First year in the first year in the league. First year as a first team manager. Bright things. We'll see what happens if they can add a couple pieces. Now, finally, Orlando City versus Atlanta. Kind of a very boring game. Brad Guzan had some key saves. This game would have been a lot more ugly, but Riqui was able to find the back of the net. Orlando City wins 1-0. Atlanta United, the dark horse, or it was the dark horse, of the playoffs, or the underdog of the playoffs, I should say, with Guzan playing out of his mind and beating Inter Miami in the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs. They were the darling of the league, or a lot of fans that hate Miami, but they were able to do something special, but it wore off tonight. It wore off tonight. And I think it was because of the deficiencies the roster has by selling their best striker, their best player in Almada, selling Caleb Wiley, and the striker being Giorgio Giacomakis. They just didn't have the talent to really compete. And this is a positive thing going into next season, and we will see what moves they make and add to Miranchuk and maybe a couple other additions. So they need a striker, definitely. I don't think Valentino sealed the deal for his job because of this loss. I think if he had won, he would have definitely been back for next year. But they've already talked about how they wanted Patrick Vieira, or that's been the rumblings. They wanted Patrick Vieira, so I don't think they were sold on Valentino. I think this loss doesn't help that cause, and maybe they'll go for someone like Jim Curtin. I don't know. We will see what happens. It's still early in the offseason. They have some time to decide. You'll have to let me know what you guys think about if they should keep Rob Valentino. Be very curious. But either way, we have the Eastern Western Conference Finals set. It's going to be the LA Galaxy versus the Seattle Sounders in the Western Conference Final. And it's going to be the New York Red Bulls versus Orlando City SC in the Eastern Conference Final. And the winners of those two matches will face off in the MLS Cup Final. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'll be curious to know who you guys think is the best team right now based on all the games you've seen. Who do you think is going to win? And what was your favorite game this weekend? What was the most entertaining game this weekend for you guys? Let me know down in the comment section. But before I go, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said, we are 280 away from 5,000. And hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Guys, the season's getting close to being over. Let's enjoy it while it's still here. Going to be some good games next weekend. Until next time, I will see you all soon.